Hello, this is Greg Giardino,
And I'm Alison Hall.
and this is It's Your Smarter Money. Now, today's video will be for anyone who is inheriting or may be inheriting an IRA at some point. So, a question that will usually get asked is, Greg or Allison, can I roll over my inherited IRA into my own IRA? And with that being said, Allison, do you mind talking to our viewers a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so let's start with the big question. What is an inherited IRA or a beneficiary IRA? We're going to refer to them as inherited IRAs, but they are one and the same, and they are accounts that are inherited from a non-spouse. So most often we see it from parents or grandparents. While inherited IRAs have some of the same features as traditional IRAs, like tax deferred growth, for example, they do have a couple notable differences. The two main differences are you cannot contribute additional funds to an inherited IRA, and you have to withdraw the funds over a set time frame, depending on your relationship to the IRA owner. Generally speaking, account owners who inherited an IRA before 2020 were required to take small distributions over their lifetimes. Those are called required minimum distributions. We call them RMDs for short. And stretching it out over the beneficiary's lifetime actually allowed compound growth for 30, 40, even 50 years. After 2020, with the passing of Secure Act 2.0, inheritors who are not considered an eligible designated beneficiary, most commonly a minor, a spouse, or someone not more than 10 years younger than the deceased owner. So someone kind of in that same age group. If you're not one of those groups eligible for special treatment, you generally have to have the account depleted within 10 years of the owner's passing. If the deceased owner passed away after the onset of their required minimum distributions, you also may be required to take annual distributions, not just have it completely zeroed out at the end of 10 years. Once the distribution is made, those funds can be contributed to a brokerage account or savings account. They do not have to be spent, just taxed. We also, as Greg mentioned, often get the question, can I just roll this into my IRA? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. That would further delay distributions and kind of negate the end goal of putting a cap on that tax deferred growth.
Now, you're probably wondering, well, can I roll over my inherited Roth IRA into my own Roth IRA? Now, generally speaking, the owner of a Roth IRA generally doesn't have to take required minimum distributions over their lifetime, which is really a nice perk for opening up a Roth IRA. Now, because of this, because the owner doesn't have to take their own RMDs over their lifetime, they never had a start date or a required beginning date of when they had to take RMDs out. And therefore, you can follow the old IRA rules that Allison just spoke about. So all owners of a Roth IRA who pass a Roth IRA down to their inheritors or beneficiaries, they're considered to have deceased with never having a required beginning date. So therefore, with that being said, they would have to not take out a required minimum distribution between years 1 and years 9, unlike the traditional IRA. However, once you hit the 10th year, you do have to take all of the money out of the inherited Roth IRA. So unfortunately, you cannot roll over your inherited Roth IRA to your own Roth IRA. However, it won't be all that bad because you've were allowed to compound grow and keep your money in the Roth IRA for about 10 years. And then at that point, you would just figure out, well, if I want to put money into a Roth IRA, can I do so directly? Do I meet the income limitations of doing so? Or do I have to do a workaround and indirectly contribute to a Roth IRA through something like a Roth conversion? So, with that being said, we hope you learned a little bit more about inherited and Roth IRAs and how they work. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care.